All right, we are back. This is Reverent Cooking, episode 6, take 2. Some of you were on earlier as I was trying to get started, and I realized with as much cooking as I had done, I did not check my gas tank. So we are here. We're going to be making burritos tonight. We've got a lot of moving pieces. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start some rice. We're going to toast this rice in some butter because that's going to help to add some flavor here. This is going to be cilantro lime rice. So I was telling the recipe earlier, right whenever I discovered that we did not have enough fuel to make this episode work. So this is 2 tablespoons of butter that I've melted. I've added to it 1 1/4 cups of rice. I've got here 2 1/4 cups of chicken broth, 1 cup of dried cilantro, the zest and juice of 1 lime, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. So we're going to let that rice start to brown. Back here, I've just got on my griddle, I've got my griddle on here low. We're going to put some black beans because I like black beans in my burritos. As I was saying earlier, we've got here some shrimp on skewers, and I'm using the McCormick's Baja Citrus marinade for those. I've got some chicken breasts here, and I'm using the McCormick's Chipotle pepper marinade for those. The rice, like I said, it's starting to do that. We're going to now move on to what I've got and what I've called the recipe we were given. They call it squaw corn. Melissa likes to call it fiesta corn. And we're going to start with 5 strips. These are, I think the recipe actually calls for 6, but we use a lot of thick cut bacon. And so I'm going to put that in this cast iron skillet here. And we're going to get that started. And hopefully we can get this up and running. So bacon is in the skillet, rice is browning. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and turn off a couple of these burners and allow that to kind of come up. So rice has started, beans have started. We're going to brown this bacon and pull all the fat off of it. Then we'll throw in the ingredients with the corn here. I've got my nice new tray Melissa got me. We're going to add to that a can of corn that's been drained, 1/2 cup of onions, 1/4 cup of green pepper, some pimentos, salt and pepper. I'm going to add garlic because nothing else in this meal has a lot of garlic in it, and I've said to you guys before I love the flavor of garlic, so we're going to add that in. And then last but not least, we'll scramble an egg and we'll throw it in there at the end. So we've also got some zucchini and some summer squash that we're going to put in on the grill here after a while to get that going, so that we can kind of add some more vegetables into our burritos, and we'll go from there. You know, it's interesting. The other night when we were doing this, the grease didn't take it that long to get hot, but it seems like this is kind of a low fire. In fact, I'm just going to show you guys this. This is kind of interesting. Josh Harris was talking to me this week, and he asked me why I went with the griddle. These 2 burners down here, you can kind of see they've got this big, wide burners with a low flame. And that's kind of an interesting thing that I hadn't noticed when we were frying the waffle fries before. That's going to allow for more heat to get around the skillet and around the pan, and you don't require as high of a flame. Part of what Melissa and I had talked about is when you're talking about choosing a grill, you have 2 sets of questions. The first question you have to ask yourself is, am I going charcoal or am I going gas? With a charcoal, there's that unmistakable flavor. You're going to get that flame-kissed look. It's going to add those extra layers to it. And I love a charcoal grill. I also love to use charcoal, and you can throw in some different wood types and do some smoking with that. And that adds a lot of layers of flavor. The only problem is, Melissa and I, we're really busy. Between the church and our kids and the things going on in the community, we just don't have time most times to wait on charcoal to be ready. So we decided right up front that we weren't going to go the charcoal route and we were going to go the gas route. So then we started looking at gas grills. The grill we had was a 4-burner grill. It was originally one of those infrared ones. It was one that had been donated to the church, and we were really grateful for it. We had used it, but after 5 years of us using it, and I don't know how long it was here at the parsonage before I started using it, it just rusted out over the winter months, and so we knew we needed another one. The 4-burner grill was really nice. For our family size, we cook quite a bit. You know, when all 4 kids are home, if we've got some friends over, or if their significant others are with them, then you know we can be looking at 8 to 10, 12 people pretty easily. And so we need a nice large grill. When it came to then looking at what kind of grill, I've always loved griddles. The thing about a griddle is there are so many things you can do on a griddle that you cannot do on a traditional grill. Now the reality is the traditional grill still has some of those key things that the charcoal grill offers. You can get those sear marks from the grill grates, and you can get that flame-kissed taste, you know, where the flames go through the grill and touch your meat. But the reality is vegetables are hard on a regular grill. You got to use aluminum foil, and the aluminum foil will burn and it will pocket holes, and then the next thing you know, you're dropping stuff between them. If you're doing just a standard burger, that's also going to be a little harder, because if you don't have if you don't have good quality burger, or if you're not adding things like eggs and breadcrumbs to make binders, your burgers can break apart and fall between the grill grates. And so as we started talking about it, we just decided that the griddle was a better route for us. And I remember whenever I told Melissa that I was going to season it the way I did with the grilled onions, that she was afraid, like for our pancakes, that those onions would flavor the pancakes. So I did some research, and I found out that that's why I put butter down first. If you put a good layer of oil down, it actually will, if your griddle is hot, that oil will actually keep a layer between the griddle and whatever it is you're cooking. So therefore our pancakes, they turned out really great. I didn't have anybody say that they tasted like onion. And so that was a really good thing. But if you want that oniony flavor, you notice, like in my smash burger episode, I just put the meat directly onto my griddle and immediately down, and it pulls out some of that oniony flavor. And so that's part of the reason why we went with the griddle. We think it's more versatile for what we're gonna use it for, and it allows me to do some things that I've wanted to do, and I just didn't have a good way of doing it. So as I've been talking here, our bacon is starting to cook kind of nice, and Melissa's over here standing in the wings. She's stirred the rice. I'm going to go ahead and add our seasonings. This is the salt and the cumin, and put that in there. We've got our finely chopped cilantro. This is actually from our plants here at the house. Melissa's been growing a nice little herb garden behind me, and maybe here after a while I'll show you that. This is all from that. The cilantro is actually growing really well compared to almost everything else we're doing. And then this is the zest and the juice from that one lemon. And so we're going to throw that in there. I'm going to stir this up a little bit. And then we are going to pour in the chicken broth, and we're going to let this sit. The thing about rice, and I've never been patient enough for rice, but I've been told the best way to do it is get it up, bring it to a boil, and then let it sit and do its thing. So we're going to put the lid on it. I'm going to turn the fuel down to as low as I can do it, and that will do it for our rice. Turn the handle around the other way so that I can keep it out of the heat. Let's see, we got some comments. Oh, hey, Mama Linda. Thank you for watching my little cooking thing. Melissa's waving too. Errol, use a grill mat on a regular grill. Yeah, you can use a grill mat, and that does make a big difference. But as Melissa said, that's just another set of dishes that we don't really want to have to deal with. And so this kind of negates that.
Yeah, because I have another job.
and I'm not for sure what's going on.
Because you know what I've never done to have outside of steak and cheese? Steak and cheese. There you go, lit.
Okay, there it goes. I want to make sure my grill's lit so that we can start to cook our shrimp, our chicken, and our corn here in a little bit.
Sam, we went out.
So
Turn your things off. They went out. You're gonna have to
I guess
change out your tank. You may not have enough in it.
we may have this second tank that I got may not be as full as what I thought. So I may have to switch things out here in a little bit,
You can just
or
do it now before you start.
well, these are working pretty well.
But they're
So
real low. I mean, you look. That's your highest, and look how low your flame is.
this is part of what happens when you go live and you don't pre-record. You run into the problems. It's kind of nice to be able to do that earlier and edit out my mistakes for the mac and cheese episode, but maybe we'll just have to slow this down and we'll just do these, and then we'll come over and we'll do our griddle things, because once I turned off my griddle, then these flames came up and this is starting to work a lot better. And that's part of it, you know. Every grill is going to have quirks. Whenever Jake and I were doing some cooking over the weekend, we found out that this side of my griddle, my left side, actually gets a lot hotter than my right side. I'm not quite for sure why that is, especially considering there's actually a little bit of a slope down to the left, so the gas you'd think would actually do a little better here on the right. But part of cooking is learning your utensils, you're learning your stove, the intricacies of it. And so we're just going to let these kind of go, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do. So we found this week, last week actually, I guess it was, those giant burrito tortillas. They come in a 6-pack, and that was the first time I ever found one that was large enough that I felt like I could stuff and make an actual burrito out of. Because the reality is most of the tortillas are so small, when you try and roll them up and fold them, you just can't put hardly anything inside of them. So we're actually really excited about this. Unfortunately, because of my not checking the gas and it getting late, we're going to be eating late tonight, but that's okay. I've actually, and while I've got you guys and I'm kind of waiting, yeah, see, here is our nice big tortilla shells. They came in a 6-count. It says technically, I think it says they're a 12-inch tortilla, but I'm pretty sure they're more of a 14 or a 16-inch tortilla. But I'm looking forward to a nice big burrito like you get at like a Chipotle or a Qdoba or someplace like that. So one of the things I hope you guys will tell me as we're going along, and maybe people who watch this later or whatever can weigh in as well. What would you like to see next? I've had a handful of requests. The one thing that's still kind of left out is fried chicken. We had originally planned to do that this past weekend, but just kind of scheduling made that a little more difficult. Fried chicken does take a lot of time, and so we'll probably try and do that maybe this coming weekend. Blake, our son, who's not here every weekend, he specifically asked for that, and of course our son Grant absolutely loves fried chicken, so we want to make sure that they're both around for that meal. I really don't want to get in trouble with my kids for not cooking the meals that they love when they're around, so those are some things to do. But if you've got some ideas of something you'd like to see us try, and I'm talking realistically try, not necessarily someone threw out there, I think early on, like a beef Wellington. I've never tried that in my life, and it's kind of an expensive dish, and it's easy to mess up from what I've heard. So that's something that I probably won't try. But we try almost anything. We eat a lot of different varieties of foods, and so that might be something we're willing to do. If you've got some ideas out there, I'd love to hear from you what kind of things you'd like to see. It doesn't have to be out here on the griddle. It can be inside. I've got some tentative plans about maybe even doing some cooking on site. A friend of mine here in Tell City, he's got a relatively new kitchen, and he invited me to come out and use his kitchen, and so I may come out there. And he has a convection oven, which is kind of a neat style of oven. It's got a fan inside that circulates the air, and so it can bake things a little faster. Sometimes they refer to it as a speed bake in some brands, but that was how I discovered how to make my cookies. If you've ever had one of my cookies, what I call my feel-good cookies, I've got about 36 different flavors of cookies that I make, and we always make those for our open house. But they really turn out best in a convection oven. So I'll probably go out and do that at his place. And so that's something down the road. But I'd love to hear from you guys what you'd like to see, or like to learn how to cook, or just see me try it. I'm never above experimenting. So just either leave a comment of what you're interested in or what you'd like to see, or you can send me a direct message or give me a text or a phone call or an email. I'd love to hear that. So here we are with this. The bacon is cooking, and it's kind of going a little slow, so I might just have Melissa take the rice inside, and I might move this cast iron skillet onto the griddle, and we might do it all here just to kind of speed things up a little bit. I didn't realize that if you're going to try and use all 5 burners on here, that it would kind of suck down the amount of fuel that they allow you to use. That would probably be my one critique I found with this Blackstone grill that I don't like, but everything else has so overmatched that I just don't know that I would say you might not consider getting this. This has been a great purchase for us. So I might step away here for just a second as I take this rice in, and we'll switch over to doing everything here, and maybe I can move you guys a little closer so you can see what's going to be happening on the grill. Do that anytime. It's not very hot. So Melissa just took the rice. I've got my bacon here. I'm moving it onto my griddle because it's going to get just as hot on this griddle as it was getting on this grate. I'm not for sure what was going on there. I may need to look at it. Maybe I didn't get my grill tank seated right, and so we might have some leakage or something like that. But we're going to continue to work and let this work, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my tongs here, and we're going to go ahead and get started cooking our meats. The thing of it is I actually want to cook these on a lower temperature, because I want to make sure that these thick chicken breasts we've got get done. These are nice thick chicken breasts, and so I'm kind of concerned that if I went too high on the heat, that they may get done on the outside and I might have to split them open. I'm going to go ahead and cut them open anyway, since we're using these in burritos, but I don't want to have to split them open and throw them back on the grill to cook, and then chop them up and throw them back on the grill a bunch of times. I want to be able to just kind of do this all in one fell swoop. So we've got 4 really nice big chicken breasts. I don't know where we got these, but that's a massive chicken breast. So just for reference, it's about the size of my hand. So I got these breasts on here to go. I'll just kind of bring this here and allow you guys to see those chicken breasts. Massive, massive chicken breasts. Still low flame, huh? We've got some technical difficulties. I'm not for sure what's going on with my grill, but we're going to go ahead and swap our tank and see what we can do. I'm going to turn this off, and we're going to do that. You know, that's part of the thing you don't see on like Food Network or those kind of shows where they run into these technical difficulties because everything's pre-recorded. They just kind of go with it. Sometimes I think on those even the competition shows, they're double checking everything and making sure it goes. So we're gonna go ahead and I know it should have gas in it, but it feels like it's got gas in it, but it's part of it, guys. Sometimes you just have these kind of situations. Did you marinate them? Zane, yes. I was telling earlier in the episode, I marinated my chicken breasts in the McCormick's chipotle pepper marinade, and we've marinated our shrimp for our burritos in the Baja citrus marinade. Well, so luckily I've got a pit crew here of sorts. I guess that's what you'd call it. Melissa's taking the rice inside, and we're going to go ahead and cook that so we don't get too far behind there. And my nice mechanic friend Jake has helped me out and allowed me to look at that. Okay, that's it. That's a big difference. So that's a huge difference. Go ahead and do that.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
There we go. So apparently that might have been part of it. We'll just take that second tank back and see if we can get it exchanged tomorrow. I'm actually going to do this too. I want to see how much. There we go. That was it. So apparently my backup tank was not nearly as full as what we thought. So that has been changed out, and we've got a brand new one that I went and purchased on, and I've got 4 burners running now. So that was part of my problem. You just never know with these live shows. So thank you very much to Melissa and Jake for getting that going. So I've got this bacon. I'm going to flip my camera around so that you guys can see. There's our bacon, and the flame is much higher. There's our chicken breasts. Griddle's already starting to get hot. There's our black beans. I want to experiment. You want to go ahead and bring the rice back out? We're going to see if we can get all 5 burners going. We should be able to without any problem. Look at that. All right, so I'm the moron who put a tank in that didn't have much gas. So we're back at it. We are doing well. Maybe I'll even have food for my family to eat before it gets too late at night. So Grant gets off work, I think, at 10, so maybe we'll be ready for him. It'll be fresh for him, that's right. So rice is back on. Actually, I'm actually going to have to turn that down because that actually went a lot higher than what we needed it to. Chicken is on, going. I'm going to keep the marinade just to kind of baste it a little bit as it goes along. I like to kind of give that extra flavor in. And the flame is hot, they're saying. So, there we go. We'll keep that chicken going. I'm going to hang this here. So, for our corn, bacon is cooking. It's actually cooking a whole lot faster. What I'm probably going to imagine, who would have guessed, if you actually have a grill tank filled with gas, it'll cook.
It sounds like you should have listened to his wife in the first place. You know.
I admit that I do not listen to my wife nearly as much as I should.
This is rapidly turning into tool time.
Pretty much. So, bacon's going. I'm going to put my...
I must be hiding. No, Braxton's hiding.
Braxton's hiding because you're whatever his actual wife's name is.
Onions going in. Green peppers going in.
You do know what that is. Okay, thank goodness.
I want to drop some garlic in here. We are cooking really well now, so.
Something like that.
So just kind of, just want to show you guys how this is looking now. Got my onions, my bacon, my green pepper, and that fresh minced garlic all going in here. We want to just get to where the onions are starting to be translucent. You're not wanting to caramelize the onions for this dish. I love the flavor of caramelized onions, but that's not the flavor we want for this corn. The rice is boiling good, which means it should be ready when we need it to. Chicken's starting to cook. In fact, you know what? This griddle's going so well. I think I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I just lost a couple of zucchini. My wife's going to shoot me for losing her zucchini. We're going to, the oil that I've been using, someone asked the other day, this is actually avocado oil. I did some research. It's got a high smoke point, so it's, and we're going to use this, and it's a little healthier than some of the other oils. Maybe not, I mean, but I like the higher smoke point. I don't want it burning on top of while I'm trying to cook stuff, so we're going to put these down on here.
I have way less invested here than you do, and they don't put me out. So.
No, I don't kick people out.
You just talk about them behind their back.
Just you.
Yeah, just me. I heard it.
Just you. You probably do. You and salt and
That's a
pepper.
lot
Yeah.
more zucchini than I thought it was going to be.
Still a squash too, man.
Oh, well.
We eat a lot of zucchini and yellow squash in the summer months.
You want to take the meat smasher off?
I'm actually going to use that later because a couple of us actually want grilled burritos. So stuff the burrito, fill the burrito, and then use our meat press to kind of help to get that extra little bit of flavor there.
Yeah. I just thought it would be easier if it wasn't in the way.
So, gotta watch how it's gotten really hot. Beans are starting to
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
We're gonna use our salt and pepper here on our veggies.
Okay.
And pepper. I'm turning my grill down a little bit because we're not trying to sear as much as I had said earlier. So I'm actually turning it down to about medium heat. Our corn is our corn dish is just getting to the place where we're about ready to add the corn. The onions are just starting to turn brown around the edges. We're using high heat so that we're not sweating the onions as much. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw in the corn. And the salt and pepper. And we're going to go ahead and throw in, this is just a jar of pimentos. Maybe. And we're going to use about half of this jar. And so Melissa is helping me out here stirring. That was a little more than half, but yeah, you know what? Just go for it, all of it. So there we go. I'm going to flip my chicken because they've been sitting here for a little while. I may have to, these are nice and thick chicken breasts, so I may have to go ahead and cut these in half, kind of butterfly them, so that they'll cook all the way through. Rice, Melissa just said, is about done. So we're making good progress now. So if you have the right gas tank on your grill, always helps. Really, really helps. So I'm going to move this down a little bit so that maybe you can see a little bit better. And we're going to go ahead and grab my spatula and we're going to put these because those zucchini and summer squash are already starting to brown already. So, anybody doing anything special for Cinco de Mayo? You guys, did you go out? Maybe ordered in? I know some of the restaurants are opening, but not all of them are. It looked like there was quite a few people at the Mexican restaurant here in town on the south side of town as we went to go get our grill tank filled up. So, anybody do anything special? Well, there we go. Oh, good knife. Very, very good knife. Our corn is cooking well. Our rice is off because it's basically done. It will finish cooking as we just let it steam. So I'm going to take this. And the nice thing also about a griddle, I was talking about this, is you can basically cut right on this. Treat it like it's a stainless steel cutting board. You'll have a good knife. Now you need a really good knife to do this. If you've ever been to like a hibachi grill, that's kind of what they do. So I'm going to butterfly these with the marinated side down first. And I'm going to use this last of our marinade that I've got sitting here in the bowl to kind of pour on and flavor this inside of the chicken. There's that. And that one may not need it, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. That is a hot griddle. So these are 4 chicken breasts, and this was actually 4 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. So like I said, I'm going to pour the rest of this marinade on top. Just kind of let it do some extra flavoring. Now that she's gone inside, I can almost say I kind of feel like I'm more on one of those cooking shows because Melissa keeps coming and taking my dishes and cleaning things off for me. One of you guys commented in one of the videos how it's always nice to have somebody who's willing to do the dishes for you. She doesn't normally do that. She usually wants me to do the cleanup for myself, but she's been very kind as I've been trying this, kind of getting back into this old, I guess you'd say it's a hobby. I mean, we cook to eat, and we eat to live, but by the same token, I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy cooking for people. So it's a hobby of sorts, but it's been a lot of fun to do this. I want to continue to do it at least until someone tells me that I don't have anyone enjoying this anymore. If it gets to a place where it's work for me, then I'll stop doing that as well. So now that I've got my chicken butterflied and grilling, my zucchini's going, the rice is almost done. My corn, I've got it turned down all the way. It's actually going really well. I'm just going to kind of tilt this down and allow you guys to see this. It's going really, really well. It's looking nice and bright and festive. The last stage of this corn dish is actually to have us add some scrambled egg to it. So I've got a nice large egg here that I'm going to scramble up, and then we're going to put in that, and then the corn dish will be done. And then once we're at the stage where we are just dicing the chicken, then I'll throw those shrimp skewers on so that they can cook, and then we'll start assembling our burritos. So it's not as easy to scramble an egg with this. I like using, we've actually got an egg whisk, or I like using a long tine fork, but this works as well. And so there's that, and we're just going to pour that egg in there. And you want to stir this all the way through while the egg is cooking. So there's that piece. And that egg kind of works to add some extra flavor, but it's also a binder for this corn dish. It kind of puts it all together. It also adds in some extra protein.
What is that called?
The recipe calls it squaw corn, but this is, I think, what Melissa was talking about when she talked about the fiesta corn the other day. We kind of made up the fiesta corn on our own. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. With it being cast iron, it's going to continue to cook. And so rice is done, The corn is done, and now we're going to tilt this back. Whoa!
No, you're fine.
Sorry guys, sent you on a ride. Put this back in my stand. The chicken is cooking. We're gonna check that. Hey, this is probably the funniest video I've done yet. Lots of bloopers, lots of mistakes, but that's how it goes.
It'll make the highlight reel for sure, man.
I may have to just have Braxton or someone take all the videos and find my bloopers and just create a highlight reel, a blooper reel for the beginning. This first, however long is going to be a season. I don't know how it.
Call it not so reverent cooking with
The not so reverent cooking. The not so.
Hey man, life's messy.
Life is messy. That is correct. So our chicken is cooking really well. I'm just kind of breaking it apart. I had left it together. I just butterflied it and didn't cut it all the way through earlier because I was just kind of wanting to make it easier. What?
You're good. We're talking amongst ourselves.
Okay. So that's there. We're going to let the chicken cook a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and flip my squash and zucchini. See, I want to show you guys this. You want to see how it's kind of getting that brownness on it? That's where you know it's starting. You don't want to cook squash and zucchini until it loses its integrity. It's just, I mean, it still has the flavor, but it just is not quite as good. See, like this piece here, this was a thinner slice.
Snacking slice.
That one's probably pretty close to done. That's, as Melissa said, that's an hors d'oeuvre slice.
Toss it back now. I'll never find it again. And it'll dissolve.
All right, fine. I will find your hors d'oeuvre slice.
Oh, yes, thank you.
He's gonna say we can never come back.
What a wonderful hors d'oeuvre slice.
There you go, dear. Don't say I never gave you anything.
I gave you 4 children.
Okay, guys, I need to. All right. Is there ever a point where we outlive that? Yes, you gave me 4 wonderful children. Some days I want to throttle them.
That was your part of it.
That was my part of it. No, your stubbornness has nothing to do with our kids at all.
Hey, my stubbornness is endearing.
Sorry. We'll go back to cooking before I get myself into some serious trouble here. Oh my goodness. What do you do, guys? I mean, serious. What do you can't win that argument. There's no way to win that argument. I gave you children. Yes, you gave me children. Aren't you glad you don't have kids?
Yeah.
She can't hold that to you.
But she finds plenty of other things.
You just can't win.
Not nearly as concrete, but other things.
I don't want to separate those. I'm afraid that they're not cooking on the inside. So, I want to let these squash and zucchini continue to cook here as I regain my composure after losing a quick fight with my wife.
So dramatic about it.
Hey, this is reverent cooking, and I can honestly say I'm not very reverent when it comes to...
Do you need anything?
I think I'm okay. Other than, you know, a little bit of my manhood back.
Do you want to like lose? You want to like win an arm wrestling match real quick? I can like, throw one for you.
I think that's quite all right. So we're going to go ahead and I want to cut these chicken breasts up so that they can actually be more the size of what you need for on a burrito.
So good.
Braxton, be glad you were inside. I lost a war.
Oh, I heard all about it. All about it.
So she went in and bragged about the victory, huh?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I'm just kind of cutting this chicken breast up. I can't even talk. When you lose so badly, it's just, man. So no one's commenting, which causes me concern. I would love for you guys to tell me, you know, what you are doing or what you had for Cinco de Mayo. Maybe you didn't have something as extravagant as this, but I'd love to hear or give me something better to talk about than my defeat to my wife.
You're standing in solidarity.
Standing in solidarity. Thanks, guys. So I'm just kind of cutting this chicken breast up so they can finish cooking, and we'll probably need to actually. Do you mind asking my wife if she can bring out the cheese and the burrito shells and the sour cream?
Well, can you bring out the cheese, the burrito shells, and the sour cream?
You have the tortillas already, or or you want something else?
With or without the spatula?
So, you know, that's the thing, like I said earlier, I'll need to sharpen this knife periodically, but you can cut right on here. With it being stainless steel, you're not actually going to hurt the griddle at all. It might dull the knife a little bit, but realistically, in some ways, it could also help keep it sharp from some of the research I've done. It's not like you're cutting into wood or something else. This is supposed to have a fairly straight surface on it. So, no, nope.
No, that is going to roll that edge very aggressively.
Going to roll the edge very aggressively.
Yes.
Well, then I'll just need to make sure I sharpen it regularly. See, here's the thing. I split this chicken breast in half, and yet even with that, it's still a little pink here inside, so I want to make sure that we get it cooked all the way through. I definitely don't want anyone getting sick as a undercooked chicken. And while I'm thinking of that, here's my little tidbit. So I've called this Reverent cooking because I wanted to talk about the intersection of faith and food and how I live my life. Part of the reason why chicken is not kosher is because it's a bird that will eat absolutely anything. I mean, they are actually kind of disgusting. And so what the kosher food laws, as I've done studying, one of the things I've discovered is God made a promise to the people that if they followed these rules, they wouldn't get sick, they wouldn't have miscarriages, and they would live long lives. And so if you look at that promise and use that as your lens for looking at the food laws in the Old Testament, all of a sudden you start to notice something. It says don't eat bottom feeders when it comes to fish. Well, what do bottom feeders do? They're filter feeders. They're taking in a lot of the toxins. And of course, we know that if you don't get things like catfish cooked properly, you can get sick. It says don't eat predators. And technically the chicken, though we wouldn't think of it as a predator, it is a predator bird. And so it will eat other creatures. It will eat things with meat in it. Of course, yes, it eats grain, and most chicken farms feed their chickens a diet of just grains and those kind of things. But if they eat protein, if they're eating live animals, then they're getting the blood of those animals in. One of the big rules was don't eat things with blood in them. And of course, we know now about blood-borne diseases and that you have to get meats cooked to a certain temperature. Part of the reason for that is because of the diseases that are carried in the blood. And so I think that while God couldn't come down and give the Israelites a lesson in microbiology, I think God did give them that lesson by promising them that if they followed his food rules, they would actually live long in the land. They would not have diseases. And so there's your nice little lesson, the reverent side, since I've already had problems with being a little irreverent tonight and losing battles with my wife. There's your nice little piece to kind of take home. Those food rules, he couldn't just tell them, I'm teaching you biology. I'm teaching you good serve-safe models, as my kids learned in culinary arts. Thank you, Miss Kleeman. But he could tell them, if you don't eat these things, you will be healthier and you will live a longer life. And so that's what I always do. When I don't understand a scripture passage, a lot of times I want to look at the context and see what's going on here. What's the why behind this? Too often we just disregard things and we're not willing to be curious about it. And so that's one of the things I would encourage you to do. If you ever come across something and you don't know what's going on, rather than just getting mad or giving up and moving on, consider doing a little bit of investigation. Look into what's going on. Try and figure out what it is that would make this be that way. Sometimes it's just weird. Sometimes it doesn't have a why. But many times I believe God gives a why. So there's that. I've now cut up all my chicken. I'm going to turn my griddle all the way to low. My beans are back here, they're boiling, and I'm going to now cook my shrimp. So I'm going to kind of scrape those over. Actually, rather than the tongs. And now, since this is a different flavor, I'm also going to go ahead and put down some oil. Kind of like I did with those vegetables, because I want a different flavor palette for those. So we're going to put down some oil here, and we've got skewers of shrimp, and we're just going to go ahead and put these down. So once the shrimp is done, I think everything will be done, and we will go ahead and we'll start assembling our burritos. So there we go. Man, that marinade, this Baja citrus, it has a really nice smell. Come up here and smell this.
Ooh, that is good. That is really nice, man. What is that?
This is the Baja citrus.
That's really yellow. Oh, it's just like when you buy like in a McCormick pack?
Yep. So I'm just going to flip these.
That sounds good. This smells good. Ooh. It's most of it was, like, as simple as, hey, wash your hands because they're dirty, and they got turned into this giant to-do. That's always nasty, because I got to look up in high school. It dawned on me one day I was in my world history class. And it dawned on me that at the time of Christ,
Zane, yeah, I'm getting your comments. Oh, wait a second. No, man, I missed a whole bunch of them.
halfway across the world from where they were.
So part of how we paid for our grill is we were saving up for a while. We did use a little bit of our, I guess you'd say, tax refund for it. But we've been saving up looking for this grill for a while. This is not a cheap grill. In fact, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the fact that our old grill had died, we probably wouldn't have gotten this for a long time. But because this whole setup with the butter that I used for the bread, the spatulas, the grill cover that I used for melting my cheese, all of that together, it's probably about a $600 grill, all said and done. But realistically, for what we're getting, it was we felt like it was a very good deal. All right, so I need a...
If you really wanted to.
So I'm going to go ahead and start taking everything off here. We're got our chicken done. Got our shrimp done. Our squash and zucchini are almost done. Like I said, I turned those down to low. So we're gonna. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a grilled burrito. So I got to clean off my grill nice completely here. So there's that part. So we're going to take this and I'm going to pull out. You want a good solid scraper. This actually came in that kit as you're scraping off to clean your grill. And you want a nice clean grill for heating up and toasting your burrito shells. Yes, I put on a new. So there's that. We're going to set that back to the back. I'm going to go ahead and clean off this front. I'm thinking I can fit about 2 tortilla shells on here with the space I've got. And these are massive tortilla shells, so clean that off. The beans are boiling. I'm going to get a spoon and go ahead. Probably better get a hot pad. Don't need to make that mistake twice. So yeah, those beans are nice and cooking. Corn is done. Rice is done. Here is 1 tortilla shell. I'm not. I might be able to get 2. Might be able to get 2.
I think the zucchinis. Oh no, it'll fit 2.
It'll fit 2. I kind of got the zucchini going. Part of what we're doing here, like I said, I turned the heat all the way down. If you warm the tortilla up, they actually fold a lot easier. Whereas if you just try and fold them cold, they tend to want to break. So, flip this over.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
it's time to, Melissa is fluffing the rice. And that's our cilantro lime rice. So I'm going to take a little bit of that. Put this on here. Braxton, since you were wanting yours as a grilled stuffed burrito, do you want beans too?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, put some
Orders.
Oh, you took orders from me. Thank you, dear.
I got you.
So we got rice and beans and shrimp. All right. So we'll take a couple of skewers of shrimp. And we're going to put those on here. Maybe. You don't mind if I use my fingers, do you?
No, go for it.
All right. So
I trust you wash your hands.
I did wash my hands before I got started, but it's been a little bit. I've done
That's
it.
okay. He was picking his nose earlier.
You know, yeah,
Extra
absolutely.
flavor.
Extra flavor. So we'll spread out our shrimp. Do you want cheese or salsa or sour cream?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. All right. You want
You won't throw it.
do you want zucchini or squash in yours?
I'll end up taking it on the side.
You'll take that on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and set that over here. So with this, I'm going to pull it over, and now I'm going to turn this so you guys can see me try and make this work. Let's see if I can do this. So first we're going to fold over the one end, then you fold over the ends. And this burrito is getting hot. So we're kind of pushing it down. There. And now, there you go. So we're going to push this and let it kind of grill it. I'm actually going to turn this back up some. And I'm going to move this burrito over here. And I want to make, while that's doing that, I want to pull this back over. And I'm going to go ahead and do mine because I want a little bit of everything in it. So, rice.
May?
Beans. I'm actually going to go chicken. So we're going to grab some chicken. Put it on there. go with some shredded cheese here. Some salsa. Yes, we could make a quesadilla out of these, although I think that would be a waste of the burrito shell.
Excuse you.
And last but not least, some sour cream. Alright, again, now I'm going to kind of fold this over. Kind of pushing in there. Take our other end up there. I filled this one a lot fuller, so we'll see how it goes. There's that, and now put that on there. So, with that, there's Braxton's shrimp burrito. We're going to give him a little bit of our squash medley and a little bit of our squaw or fiesta corn. And there you go, guys. Thanks for hanging in there for all my missteps and mistakes. This is Cinco de Mayo burrito for Reverent Cooking, and I'll see you guys next time.